Agumon, the go-to Digimon partner, at least in the Digimon anime, from Taichi to Masaru and beyond. Probably has the most variants of any Digimon, and on today's video I'm going to be ranking every single Agumon variant. What's up everybody, welcome back to another video and thank you to supporter Paddy for this recommendation. And yeah, this is a new format for the rankings. Previously I have gone through a UK school system ranking style, but I'm now realising that doesn't make much sense internationally and doesn't have a gold standard to show off. So instead, we're going to be using Tier Maker. As you can see here, I have made a ranking from S all the way down to F, and we'll be ranking all the Agumon variants as such. This is also the ranking system going forward, and I'm going to retroactively add my Crest of Love rankings when I do Crest of Courage and so on ranked. I also do want to say that normally my rankings are alongside every Digimon, so I'm ranking them across the entire scale. In this specific instance, I'm ranking Agumon against Agumon. I may use other Digimon as examples, such as like comparing to other partner Digimon, but generally this is a little bit more insular and may not be the case in future videos when I compared like Crest of Courage evolutions against different Agumon. Also, I'm talking about actual variants here, so I will not be including things like Punk Agumon, which is a costume, or God forbid Fiora Agumon. Yes, that's a real thing. Jesus Christ, Digimon. So let's just jump into it. And first we are ranking regular Agumon, the OG, and I do like this Agumon. It's hard to hate it. He's got a classic design. Even his eye is so iconic that it just shows up as a logo in the Digimon Adventure 20th anniversary proceedings. But I must admit, I am a little tired of seeing him. Being Tai's go-to partner, and of course in the reboot as well as in a ton of stuff as a mascot, it's just a little bit of overexposure, similar to how base Omnimon is a little bit overexposed for me now. So while it is a classic design, it's definitely not one of my favourites. In fact, even back in the day, I was much more of a fan of Digimon like Patamon, Gabumon and Gomamon than I was actual Agumon, and that's why, ranked against all the other Agumon, while I do absolutely respect him, I can only give regular Agumon an A. Alright, so let's very quickly go through his normal variants, starting with Black Agumon. I actually like Black Agumon. Of course, eventually he can digivolve to Black War Greymon, which is a huge player in Digimon Adventure 02, although Black Agumon itself wasn't really part of that equation. And yes, it can even DNA digivolve with Black Metal Garurumon into Omegamon Zwart, or Zwart, but I don't think it's any better or any worse than regular Agumon. It is cool that it's a virus type, admittedly, and I do love the Virus Metal Greymon, but I think we're just going to put it in A. And then there is Yuki or Snow Agumon. Again, it's not doing anything crazy for me. I like it as a variant, and I do like that obviously its evolution line can feature Yukimi Bottomon, but the main thing that's disappointing to me about Snow Agumon is its evolution line. While I am ranking the aesthetics of the Agumon, I think I could easily have put Yuki Agumon into S tier if only there was a Snow/Yuki Greymon, Metal Greymon, War Greymon, etc. I just wish there was something more proper for him, not just like Frigimon. And so while I do like it, it's ultimately hard to fall in love with it because it hasn't got a unique line of its own, and that's why it's also going in A. Alrighty then, let's move on to Agumon X Antibody, and I'm probably going to catch some flack for this. I have been on record as stating that a lot of the times I don't think that the X Antibody Digimon are better than the base Digimon or even improve them in any way. There are a few times where I really love X Antibody Digimon, but usually I just don't get the appeal. The design here to me is fine. It adds these sort of blue lines that Greymon has, but that just makes it feel like an in-between stage of Agumon and Greymon and not its own thing. It's very hard for me to get excited about Agumon X Antibody other than like, oh cool, it's got the X Antibody. So while it's definitely not the worst X Antibody, it is just very bland, and that's why it's going in B. B for bland. And along those same lines, I feel the same way about Agumon X Antibody Black. I feel like it was a good opportunity to do something here. It's a virus Agumon with another type of virus or an antibody. You could have done something cooler here, but instead you just get this weirdly proportioned Black Agumon. But there's only a few examples of art for Agumon X Antibody Black, and it maintains those weird proportions throughout, and I'm just not a big fan of that. It just looks like a weird sort of half SD version of Black Agumon, and yeah, I just don't love it. And that's why it is matching its brother in B. Alright, this is where things get a little bit controversial. Agumon 2006 anime version, the partner of Masaru or Marcus, and there are some things here which I absolutely adore and some things which I just don't. I like that they slightly changed the scale of Agumon, at least in Savers. I think the armbands slash training braces is a fantastic addition, but those nostrils, man. He looks like an outlet. It's always been a put off to me, and that's why I actually think I generally prefer this Agumon redesign, but the nostrils let it down. But it's certainly not worse than regular Agumon, and like I say, I kind of prefer elements of the 2006 Agumon to the base one, so I'm gonna give it an A. And in that vein, everything I said about Black Agumon and Snow Agumon applies exactly the same here, but I actually think they wasted an opportunity. Base Agumon 2006 has the red training braces, like I said, but they just made them completely black for 2006 Black Agumon. That's just such a letdown for me. Agumon has a very clear contrasting color for his braces. It could have been white, silver, even red. So actually, I think Black Agumon's a bit of a downgrade, and I'm gonna put him in B. And Snow Agumon 2006 unfortunately has this same problem. You could have done something cool here. Gold, silver, black braces, but instead they just kind of blend into the background, so that's going in B2. Alright, now we get into the weeds, into the real deep stuff, into the stuff that I find very difficult to rank. And that's the Toy Agumon variant. Now this is interesting to me because Toy Agumon is a variant himself. He's almost a brand new Digimon, but then he has variants of his own, as I talked about in my variants video. Toy Agumon himself, I think, is a phenomenal design. I wish we had more toy Digimon. I've said this. A full line for Toy Agumon, but also just other toy Digimon. I've gone from not really caring about Toy Agumon to genuinely loving him, and while I wouldn't put him in my top 10, he's definitely in my top 20, and that's why Toy Agumon gets an S. But to the inverse is Clear Agumon, which is a clear version of Toy Agumon. Duh. And I kinda get what they were going for here, but it's just so lacking in definition. There are honestly times where I have to really pay attention to make sure I'm looking at a clear Agumon and not a Toy Agumon. They don't make them clear enough in a lot of games. In fact, in some games, it barely looks different. I feel like you could do something a little bit different here. I don't know what exactly, but to really sell that clear vibe, and I just don't think it's there personally. In fact, looking at this tier list now, I'm really struggling to tell the difference on these small images. I feel like if you're going to do a clear variant, you could definitely make it more fun, and it just isn't. So I think it fails in execution, and that's why I'm going to put it at C. The first C of the list. Will it be the last? And then we have Black Toy Agumon, or Shadow Toy Agumon, and I like this. It doesn't really have a theme or anything, it's just kind of the dark/virus version of Toy Agumon, much like most other Agumon have their black/shadow version. It doesn't do anything crazy, and I don't think it enters the S tier with regular Toy Agumon, but it is certainly a competent Digimon, and I think it is right on par with the rest of the Agumon, and that's why I'm going to put it in A. Alright, let's get two really bad ones out of the way. We got Santa Agumon and we got Dot Agumon. Santa Agumon is fine. I like Christmas variations of Digimon, but it's Agumon with a Santa hat on. You know what? There's other Digimon on this list that you could say is just Agumon with a hat on, and I will defend Agumon Hakase to my dying breath. Santa Agumon is just really basic, and it's not supposed to be anything crazy, okay? But we're just so lacking in Santa Digimon or Christmas-themed Digimon, and I know New Year is the bigger holiday in Japan, but you certainly would have figured that something more would have come along. Like I say, Santamon was planned for Appmon. I just wish there was a little bit more to it, and that it appeared in more media and maybe had some kind of evolution line into like a Saint Nicholas Greymon. It's fine, but it's pretty uninspired to the same level I think of Clear Agumon, and that's why it's going in C. Dot Agumon. I don't know how I feel about Dot Agumon. The Dot Digimon to me have become slowly less special. With the Cyber Sleuth games and potentially others making Dot a status condition, it makes them being a variant feel a lot less important. I'm not saying that I don't like the idea of Dot Digimon, it harks back to V-Pets, although there's only actually a couple of V-Pets that are full colour, and the VB for instance has much better sprites than Dot sprites. It's certainly not bad, but I feel like retroactively it has become less interesting because of the Dot status condition, and that's why, and this might be controversial, I'm gonna put it in D. D for Dot. Get in the bin. Alright, we're a little bit over halfway, and this has been really difficult. I absolutely adore Professor Agumon, or Agumon Hakase. It is just absolutely brilliant. I love that it's a variant and not just an Agumon with a lab coat. It's actually designated as its own Digimon in the card game and other media. And I also love that it has Nisei Agumon Hakase, or Fake Professor Agumon. It reminds me very much of the Fake Professor Oak card from Pokemon way back in the day, and I just love that they've done that here. Rather than just having a black variant that's a virus or whatever, they really lent into the design so that Professor Agumon is like a good teacher teaching you correct things, and Fake Professor Agumon is spreading misinformation and lies. I love it. A nasty teacher telling you off. He's got that classic like boarding school costume going on with the creepy tongue and teeth around the neck. I also made this tweet about these two Digimon which did numbers. Thank you very much. I am very funny. Follow me on Twitter by the way, at @Karn_EX. But yeah, I absolutely adore both of these Digimon. I think they are some of of the best variants we've ever seen, including Terriermon Assistant, which is the assistant to Professor Agumon. You have to love it. They're both going in S. Alright, next we've got Bushy Agumon, a Digimon I had not even heard of until the Digimon card game, and I do like the design here. I like the traditional Samurai Agumon. But again, I wish we had a full line for this. You can definitely retrofit stuff like Musiamon and Samadramon and stuff to work here, but I would have liked a Ronin Greymon or something, you know? I also do like specifically, I don't tend to talk about card effects when I do these videos, but I do like that Bushy Agumon has the Rush ability, which lets it attack the same turn it's played. Love that. And that does factor into some of my love of this Digimon now. So I don't think it's up there with Professor Agumon. It is a little bit goofy. I do really like it, and I do like to play it in the card game, and so for that reason I'm giving Bushy Agumon an A. Alright, so we're down to the last two. Agumon Burst Mode and Agumon Bond of Courage. Now, Agumon Bond of Courage isn't necessarily a variant, it's an evolution, but if we're counting Burst Mode Agumon, we'll count Agumon Bond of Courage. But let's talk about first of all Agumon Burst Mode, debuting right at the end of Digimon Savers / Data Squad. I've got a weird love for this. I kind of love the idea of rookie Digimon getting crazy power upgrades or becoming crazy powerful. Oftentimes it seems the main thing that happens to Digimon, as is kind of intended, is that you just digivolve and digivolve and digivolve until you reach Mega, and then you burst mode or fusion or whatever it may be, DNA digivolve, etc. I just love that Agumon himself got a burst mode in Savers. It was kind of a last minute thing, a last hurrah, but I did enjoy it. But the form ultimately is just 2006 Agumon with a Digiburst aura around him. There's nothing exceptional about this Digimon, it's more about its story relevance and its kind of payoff to that story. So while it's certainly not bad, it's definitely middle of the road. We're gonna give it a B for burst mode. And then finally is Agumon Bond of Courage, or Yuki no Kizuna. This is going to feature spoilers for Digimon Adventure Last Evolution Kizuna, so jump to this timestamp if you don't want to be spoiled for that movie. But let's talk about Yuki no Kizuna / Bond of Courage. I don't mind this design. It feels a little bit like JoJo's Bizarre Digimon, and while I have said before that I do have problems with the fact that it doesn't feel like a last evolution for Agumon, and neither does Bond of Friendship for Gabumon, I don't inherently hate the design. I do have issues with the fact that I don't necessarily need them to be biomerge, right? I've had people say that they wouldn't want biomerge to be in anything other than Tamers. I personally disagree, but it really felt like that was the intention with these Digimon. But outside of Kizuna, looking at it as a Digimon going forward, I don't know if it stands out. They are going to feature both the Bond of Courage and Bond of Friendship. Agumon and Gabumon are going to feature as the main Digimon of the Double Diamond set coming up in Japan and in Global later this year. So they're definitely not being forgotten about, which I do like, but again, the designs just feel a little forced. I think it could do with some tweaks, and I definitely think I would have preferred a different both Digivolution method and Ultimate Digimon. But accepting the reality we live in where this is the last evolution of Adventure Agumon, I think things could have been a lot worse. And that is why I am ranking Agumon Bond of Courage a B. Alright, and there is my list, my definitive ranking of Agumon variants. No one got an F. Pretty good going. I think there's definitely a reason that a lot of them are A and B, in as much that I respect the designs, think they're classic, but don't think they do anything crazy, and I think my S is actually surprising. If you know me by now, strength and coolness are a factor I like, but I also like cuteness and originality, and that's definitely reflected in the fact that Toy and the two Professor Agumon are in my S tier. I will put a link to this tier maker in the description and for all of my rankings going forward, so you can do this yourself, but let me know in the comments down below what's your favourite Agumon variant, and just in general maybe tell me your rankings or just share them with me on Twitter or Discord. Links to my Twitter and Discord are in the description down below if you want to show me your tier maker results. Also, friendly reminder to please subscribe. We have flown past 15,000 subscribers. Next big goal is 20,000. If we can hit that, with your support it would be amazing, and also with the support of my amazing channel members, who I'd like to thank now. My amazing Digi-Destined who are growing every day. Triple D, Night 12, Andrew Sobel, Sad Uncle Callum, Tippy, Crimson Dragon Slayer, and Anthony Bontomasi. Digi-Destined, your support means the world to me. Thank you so much. And thank you all so much for submitting video ideas. Some of your ideas are absolutely phenomenal, and I'll be working through them this next month or two. My Tamer level channel members, Lucky Geordie, The Beard Incarnate Nagel, Emily, NQG420, John Hawkins, Mike McNulty, Theo Navarro, and Reese Williams. Thank you so much, Tamers. And everyone else in the Karn Club, remember you can join as a channel member for as little as $1.99 and get instant early access to all my videos stickers, and a bunch of other awards for each tier, and I will see you next time when we go digital. Bye bye.